But we're going to warm up, I hope, with the first blockbuster exhibition of the year. The Royal Academy is staging a major exhibition of portraits by the great 19th century French artist Edouard Manet. As the organisers put the finishing touches to the show, I went along to take a look at the lives and loves of Manet's Paris. Painting begins with Manet. So said another celebrated French artist, Paul Gauguin. High praise indeed. As Paris steamed into the modern age in the second half of the 19th century, Edouard Manet painted life as he saw it, restlessly breaking with accepted artistic conventions. In his lifetime, Manet was viciously attacked by the conservative critics of the day. But others, especially novelists, poets, his fellow painters, revered him both as the founder of Impressionism and as a father of modern art. Manet's less well known for his portraits, but as this absorbing new exhibition shows, he ingeniously blurred the line between portraiture and scenes of everyday life, transforming the very idea of what a portrait might be. Take this deeply disconcerting, deliberately bewildering masterpiece of 1862, Music in the Tuileries Gardens. Manet shows us a gathering of fashionable Parisians in a little garden just between the Place de la Concorde and the Louvre. This is the painting of modern life. How does Manet see modern life? I think he sees it as a blur, as a chaos, as a constant experience of walking through the gardens, the streets of this new metropolis. Everywhere you look, you see people. Do you know them? Do you not know them? But then, gradually, as you become accustomed to the apparent formlessness of the picture, you realize that people's faces begin to jump out at you, and they are recognizable faces. Here's Offenbach, the composer. Here's Manet's brother. Here, right at the edge, is Manet himself. Look at this lady's face. She is Valentine Lejeune. But then move up. And who's that? That blurred face. That's Charles Baudelaire, the greatest critic of the 19th century. And it was in her house that Manet met Baudelaire. And that was absolutely key to him. Baudelaire's essay on the painting of modern life, in which Baudelaire argued that modernity is the fleeting, the transitory, the contingent, that became Manet's Bible. Manet was Baudelaire's painter of modern life. So what looks at first like a chaotically random depiction of a sea of humanity is, in fact, a carefully planned assault on all of the existing conventions of portraiture and group portraiture. Throwing his friends into the maelstrom of city life was itself highly unusual, but it was also the striking way Manet captured individual subjects that was revolutionary. Meet Berthe Morisot, the poster girl of the exhibition, and you can see why. What a wonderfully fresh, informal, intimate portrait this is. What's remarkable about the pose is how unposed it is. Looking at the painting, you feel as if you've just chanced upon her, perhaps at some gathering. She's caught your eye, she's ready to strike up conversation. There's none of that staid school photograph formality of the portraiture of the past. And I think the blacks and whites of the image very much suggest Manet's interest in photography. He was fascinated by the way in which particularly blurred photographs seem to confront you with the image of someone who's moving as you speak to them, someone who's actually alive, and he's created his own equivalent to that blurring effect in his handling of paint. What's also new about the picture, I think, is the gaze with which she confronts you. She meets you as a new kind of woman. Bohemian, independent. Berthe Morisot was herself a painter. She's looking at Manet, he's looking at her, and they're equals. As he looked to push the limits of portraiture ever further, Manet's habit of painting people he knew allowed for great intimacy and freedom on the canvas. Victorine Meurent was his favourite model and the main subject of some of his most controversial works. Here she's a hard-faced prostitute greeting yet another client, and she appears again in the Déjeuner sur l'herbe. Now this picture is a later and slightly sketchier, smaller version of the original Déjeuner sur l'herbe in the Musée d'Orsay, but it's every bit as shocking. Here we see Victorine completely naked, having a picnic with two fully clothed Parisian gentlemen, while her scantily clad companion bathes in the background. Manet actually based it on Renaissance images of the legendary Arcadia, a rural paradise peopled by nymphs and shepherds, where men go to retune their troubled souls. It's as if Manet's asking, what would that paradise be now in 19th century France? Manet's trying to distance himself from the myths of the past and present a thoroughly disenchanted, disconcerting view of present reality. Manet once said, "It has always been my ambition not to remain the same, constantly to be inspired by something new, to register a new note." His determination to stay fresh is reflected in one of the most enigmatic works in the show. What a radiant, haunting picture to leave us with. All the way from the National Gallery of Art in Washington, it's the Railway of 1873. And once again, Manet has taken an existing convention of portraiture here. It's the mother-daughter portrait, and he's turned it on its head. He's turned it inside out. They're not even really mother and daughter. That's Victorine Meurent, his model once again. The little girl is the daughter of Manet's neighbour. And even more radically, he's turned her away from the viewer. It's a portrait in which you can't see the girl's face. Now, normally, mother and daughter would have been placed indoors, seated beside one another, perhaps on a chaise longue. But here, Manet's taken them outside and he's perched them on the edge of the pit of that great inferno, the Gare Saint-Lazare, Paris's biggest railway station. And I think what he's doing is he's making us think once again about the nature of modern life. This little girl, if she has to learn one thing, it's that she doesn't know what this turbulent future holds. That, for Manet, is the essence of modern life. And I think it's as true for 2013 as it was for 1873. Manet didn't just change portrait painting. He didn't just change painting. He changed the very way in which we think about ourselves and about our world.